Good afternoon.
So my name is Emmanuel. I'm taking BCom 2.2 year. So I have two questions. One, in other words, or rather in few words, what role does networking play in advancing one's career, and what are your top networking tips? That is question one. And for the second question, in this world of increasing financial complexity, how can an average person achieve financial literacy and make informed decisions? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Two questions. The last one from here.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Matthew Elizabeth, pursuing Bachelor of Science in Geomatics Engineering and Geospatial Information System in my third year of study. Thank you for the session you've taken us through. Richie asked a question about networking, and I remembered something I saw that when I was in first year, I called my uncle to send me money. He told me to call him back. After like 5 minutes, he was looking for a slot to park. Ati kumbe ajai park mpaka 3 years later. Kumbe makosa ilikuwa yake. My question is, since we are not, okay, I'm not a finalist, what can I do to achieve those skills that maybe when I leave school, they can be great opportunities, or they can open up opportunities for me when I leave school? And my second question is, you've talked about doing what you're passionate about. How do I find my passion? What if I have passion in like various things? How do I pick up my best passion, or something that I can pursue and I'll be satisfied with it? Thank you.
Over to you.
Thank you very much. We're back to networking. How can you build it, and what are the top-notch tips? They say whoever does not know where he's going, he cannot get lost. So the first tip is to know where you want to go, so that you know which network you will need to support you in that journey. So if I want to build a career in business, I might want to also build a network around business people and professionals around the business world. If I want to go a journey or as an academician and come back here and teach, maybe I may want to now be more deliberate in building a network of academicians, lecturers, scholars, writers, and because that is the direction I want to go. So the first tip is to define the journey you want to take. Because when you don't know where you're going, any road is good. But when you know where you're going, if I'm here and I know I want to go to Nyahururu, from the gate, I will know I need to turn right. But when I don't know whether I'm going to Nyahururu, Nyeri, even if I just stand there in the middle of the road, I'm still okay because I was not going anywhere. So the first thing and the best tip is, first of all, to define where you're going. Sometimes that can be circumstantial based on where you are. I'm here and I want to go there. And sometimes it can be because you are deliberate. You had already thought about it and from long and said, when I finish my career, this is the direction I want to go. So having a purpose and a direction for yourself in terms of career will solve a lot in terms of now who do you need around you to build that career. The issue of financial freedom and inclusion, again, I know we are going to be discussing it at large, but again, just to mention about it, is that if you are able to do what you have said in terms of your career, a successful career brings with it what? Money. And when you have money, then the next question is, what do you do with the money? And I know my experts here from all the mutuals will be now telling us, what do we do after we have had a good career and we have made money? So what do we do with the money? And how much do I need then to say that I'm financially free, or I'm walking to the journey, towards the journey of financial freedom? Will be covered. From my sister there, you mentioned a very serious degree. I don't want to try and call it. I might embarrass myself. And congratulations for the ladies here doing engineering. You mentioned a number of things, and if I got you right, you talked about your uncle who is still looking for a parking. And that is a classic example of what happens when we are always going to people with a problem. You know what happens? Those people, as much as they are close to us, they also start running away from us. Because every time they see a call, it is a problem. But you have also asked a very important question, that what else can I do, now that I'm not a finalist, what else can I do to increase or to advance my career, or also to earn an extra shilling? And it's a very important question. Your 4 years in university are very important. And it's also tied with the issue of passion. And you have many passion. You are over-blessed. Choose things, or many of them, or one of them, first of all, that you're very comfortable doing, and they add the value to others. So there's something you're passionate about, you can easily do it, and it's a value add to other people. You know, there are other things that we do that sometimes they're not really adding value, but you are very good at them. Sindio? And I don't want to try and mention a few of them. But there are others that we are very good in doing, and they're adding value. When I came here, I had our MC for the day, you know, doing a very good job. And I told myself, wow, this guy has talent. You know, you could be earning from just being an MC. And you know, MCs are paid in millions, yeah? Because he's doing it easily, and he's adding value to the institution. So it is true you could be having many passions, but it's also important to look at them and say, which one am I effectively able to do, and do it very well, and it's adding value, not only to me, but to mankind. Because you know, as individuals, we don't only live for ourselves, we also live for others. When you leave this great university, how are we going to remember you? Are we going to remember you as the great MC? Are we going to remember you as ule jamaa walikuwa anatupigianga stories za Jaba? How are we going to remember you? Or are we going to remember you ule jamaa alikuwa anatusaidianga kuweka bets, na bets zake haziunguangi. Kwa hivyo hata tukigraduate lazima tumtafute, sasa tunataka kufanya nini? Kuwekelea. Kwa sababu zake akisema ni jiji, si ndio? So be deliberate in the passion, in the things that you do, in how you want those things to relate, in how people will remember you and how they contribute to other people's well-being. Thank you.
What an insightful session that you've had. And thank you very much, Mr. Sambu, for gracing us with your presence. I'm pretty sure that you have learned a lot of things, but the one that I'm taking home is to be intentional and deliberate about the networks that we build, and not to be afraid of change. Thank you very much for your time, and we are going to welcome the next session, and we hope that you're going to interact with you after this. Thank you very much.
Makofi yao.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm hoping we have learned something. Si ni kweli? The questions were very nice and insightful. Asanteni for asking the questions. So before I introduce the next speaker,
How you budget it, how you put some money aside, a savings, emergency funds. You just know what you're going to do with your cash.
Money is the first word that comes to mind, of course. So what I'd say financial education is, how do you get the money and what do you do with the money?
Talks about money, like talks on how to budget, how to invest and save, talks on pension planning and stuff like that.
I would say yes, I do have habits that I have put in place, structures that I've put in place to help me ensure that I have good financial health.
I started a food business that is currently doing very well. So I'd say, apart from spending money, I also just research ways to invest money.
Okay,
Listening from the discussion in this panel that has just ended, there's a lot to learn. And I'm hoping that you are taking notes. Today is a day when we are talking about financial literacy, career, and many other things surrounding our life and money. I want to start by welcoming the MD and Mochu and with your team and the Faulu team. We are excited as a university to host you and also to bring this information to us. Because as somebody says, you don't have to sit in class to learn how to manage your finances. Even those people who have never gone to school, they will at one point or another need to have some knowledge on how to manage their finances. It is my hope that by the end of this session, because I'm not an expert in financial management, and that's why we have called the experts. So I don't want to talk so much about it. I want to just talk generally about issues surrounding finances and students. This morning, I was talking to one of the students, and I asked him, because he got fees from his parents. I don't know what happened, the fees, and he ended up with a very big balance. So he was seeking to do some specials. So I asked him, what did you do with your money? And along our conversation, he confessed to me that he got married and he has a wife and a child. So I don't know. The experts are here. They will tell us whether that is part of good management of our school fees. Because that was school fees. He managed by getting a wife for himself. And that is not the only one. Last year, and another student we were assisting, and we really supported him until that time when his loan from Higher Education Loans Bond got into his account. And the first thing he did was to go buy himself very nice clothes, and it disappeared from the university. By the way, he has not come back. It is now a year. And in my own thinking and analysis, I know he also got married. So young men, it's very interesting how you use your finances. And we have very many students who are very entrepreneurial. They will look for that money. Others, once they get the money, they get into betting. We lost a student this year, I don't want to mention who, because you know the ones we have lost. And one of his challenges was the parents were sending to him 16,000 per week. And that money, the best he could do with the money was he got into drugs. He got into drugs. He took too much, got into depression, and that is what made him leave this world. So we have to manage our finances until they become our ladder to the next world. And we leave people enjoying their life here. So there are many things as a student you can do. I believe there are those who think this is a session for students in School of Business. But this is a session for everybody, regardless of age, regardless of the course they are taking, regardless of career. So I believe by the end of this session, I don't want to take so much of your time, because I'm not the main speaker today. I believe by the end of this session, nobody will sit and hear. We'll use their loan to get married. We'll use their loan to buy drugs. But by the end of this session, we will learn how to manage the resources that we have. It doesn't have to do just with money. There are many other things we need to manage, including our time, which can sometimes translate to money. We need to ask questions. We need to learn how to manage resources. In case you are lucky to get that money, do you need to invest the money? How do you invest the money? Is buying yourself a nice shoe investment? Is handing a girlfriend also a form of investment? I don't know what girls do with their money, because I know women, our money is our money. We don't get married. No woman will marry you with her money, unless there's an age difference. But your arrangement, your loan belongs to the two of you, but hers belongs to hers. So this is an opportunity for us to ask those questions. Where can we invest if you get the money? If you don't have the money, how can you get the money? Again, we are here, and all of us have big dreams. You have the cause you're pursuing, and I believe you either have a dream of getting employed or becoming an employer. How do you go about that? And this is the best forum or the best opportunity to ask the questions. So if you have that question, even if you are shy to speak, you better tell us. We'll give you somewhere to scribble the question, so that by the time the sessions are ending, you are not left with a question. So I believe with the experts that we have here, we will learn a lot. I will not be left with the people handing more girlfriends and children and including wives with the small amount of money they get from. And you know what you get from the government is a loan. How do you manage that loan? Is a loan the same as a grant? Is it the same as the money you get from your parents? So I believe we have now the chance to learn. And what we learn here, because we might have our colleagues who are not able to attend for one reason or another, I believe we will cascade, or we will share this knowledge with our friends, our relatives, our family members, and our course mates. And with those few remarks, I want to take this chance to welcome all our visitors, our facilitators. Last time we had a very good session, and the way the first session has been conducted, I believe you can tell with the nature of questions that we may look like we are few here, but we are serious. We are here because we are serious and we want to learn. So with those few remarks, welcome, and we hope to learn more by the end of the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We also have, she was to introduce our guests from Old Mutual. Nasikia kuna MD, nitapatiana CV yangu baadaye.
MD ako hapa, usiache aende kama unjamunjua, uone sura yake, unjue namba yake, so that when you want attachment, when you want a job, you will remember that face, that you can introduce yourself. You know, we met Dedan Kimathi. I was a student. I was the one who was asking this question. You know, it's easier than when your face is not known. So, and not just MD, there are even managers here. So there are many people here. By the end of the session, you should have all your contacts in your phone. You've been told you check the kind of contacts that you have. Sio wale wa kukumblock when you call. Ama una, what do we call, where you call and you don't have money to call. Munaita anje? Reverse call. You don't reverse call to the MD because so let's use this opportunity for networking. Now I want to invite the MD, Bwana Anthony. If there are others that he would want to introduce, he will introduce them. We can give him, no, a better clap. Can we give 5 factorials? We are scientists.
Wacha tuone. 5 factorials, eh? Are you ready? Prepare. Huyu ni MD. Akipiga simu kutoka Nairobi aseme, futa huyo kijana, quickly, nyumbani. Ama si, that's not how corporate works. Eh? Are you ready? So we are going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sasa, eh? Sasa, 1, 2, go.
Karibu sana, and we are honored to have you in our midst. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Dr. Ntiga. Thank you so much for your wise words. Good afternoon. Do I need to stand up there? Mbogo.
Karibu. One step forward, another step forward. Thank you. Cameraman, your work is easier.
Thanks, Mbogo. He has another career apart from what he's studying here. Well done. Yeah. So good afternoon again. My name is Anthony Mwithiga. I'm from Old Mutual. I'm managing director for Old Mutual Investment Group, which is the investment company in Old Mutual in Kenya, which manages investments for individuals and institutions and corporates, just like this university. This university has a pension fund for its academic and non-academic staff, and that's honor and obligation has been given to us as Old Mutual. And I'm responsible for that business, and I'm here with some colleagues, both from Old Mutual and from Faulu. I'll just ask them to stand and wave so that you know who is from Old Mutual and who supposedly can give you a job. Old Mutual and Faulu colleagues, yeah, we are many of us. Feel free to talk to us after this event. We came here because of you. Yeah. And we have a very strong partnership with Dedan Kimathi University of Technology. And we've had a good session with your Vice Chancellor, courtesy of your Director of Students, Dr. Ntiga, and he told us so many good things about yourselves and about the university. I didn't know you are doing things which are done very far from here in Taiwan. You're almost making computer chips. Well done. That's the next most tiny valuable piece of technology. So I assume I was asked by my colleague Margaret, who organizes this for us every year, courtesy of the Old Mutual Foundation, to speak about a career journey, possibly myself, and how do you become a leader of a business? I'm really shocked Old Mutual has trusted me. But I'll talk about that. But more importantly, today, please make sure you pick 1 or 2 things about personal financial literacy, discipline, freedom, whatever name you call it. All of us here who are working and older, we never got this opportunity. We never. I've been in financial services for the last 23, 24 years. No one told me I'll be here, I'll do this, yeah. So I made a lot of mistakes with my help money. It used to be called Boom. I don't know what it's called nowadays. And I wish I'd met Faulu or Old Mutual when I was a student like yourself. So briefly, if you ask me what I do, I'll use 3 words. I'm an investment manager, I'm an asset manager, but if I want to get very fancy, I'll say I'm an investment banker. So I've had really, really privilege for the last 23 years to work for around 6 organizations, including Old Mutual, in a finance investment related career. And it's a huge privilege and honor to do that. Sometimes you wonder, why do people think you are the one, you are able, you are capable? Yeah, because I work with some very exceptional people, talented, skilled people. Some of them are here. But why should I be the one to be head of the team as an MD? To be honest, when you start a career, you should not be looking for a title. No. Be looking for use of your skill for gainful livelihood to solve problems. You are in a university of technology. What a better place to learn how to solve problems. As Mbogo mentioned, not Mbogo, Sambu mentioned, my colleague from Old Mutual, who spoke very well here about career, because he works in our human resource department. I met a student today when I came here at around 12 o'clock, and we had a very good conversation. I don't remember the conversation in detail, but I remember only 3 things about him. He was very courteous, he was very, very respectful, and he was very confident. He told me he's a second year, and he's not doing a science course. He's doing BCom in accounting. And one of the things which I picked from that student, when I asked him, I'm looking for a cafeteria, for a place to have something to eat. He told me, he asked me, are you new here? I said, yes, I've just come. I said, come, let me take you. So he didn't point or give me, he took me to the restaurant. That for me was very unique. Because in Old Mutual, we are very fortunate. We interact with almost 7-8 universities, and I've gone to 4 of them. 2 of them is where I went to school. And I've gotten lost in one of the universities. And students, first of all, were shocked why I'm lost. And secondly, they told me, just read the signs. Which is okay. And I'll tell you a story about reading the signs. So I left formal schooling in 1999. So I'm an old man. I was where you're seated. I studied economics, math, and finance for postgraduate. So I grew up knowing the only way to make in life from the village is just to pass exams. I never knew there's something called networking, which has been defined here. And all those fancy, good stories. There were no phones. There were mobile phones. There was no emails. My high school had 1 computer. My primary school did not have floor. It had dust. But the only way out, even though in the village I grew up, my parents seemed to be the one knowing what's happening, was just pass your exams and the rest is history. Today, that is just a smaller part of it. It's like 25% of the ability to make a difference. I don't normally call it to succeed, no, to make a difference. So passing your exams is almost now 1/3 or 1/4 of what is required. And that's how generations change. So my story to you today might not apply for you today, but you can pick 1 or 2 things which can help you navigate your unique journey. I'm a parent of young people like you. have a university student son and I have a pre-university daughter. And they don't take my advice because they tell me I went to school in Noah's time. And partly they are right because the circumstances are very different. But the goal is the same. To do what? To make a difference. In my time, it was called to excel, to succeed. Today, I think, is to make a difference. Because when young people come to companies where we work and we talk to them, and we ask them, why do you really want to come to Old Mutual? There's a fancy word they use. I engaged an intern 2 weeks ago and it asked him, so why do you want to stay here and work with us? He said, I want to make an impact. Wow. That's a good term. I don't think 23 years ago I said I wanted to make an impact. I could have said I want money because I never saw it growing up. So 23 years ago, I left school in 1999, and because the only thing I knew will make a difference or will make me succeed is just to pass exams, which most of you have done all your life, from primary, high school, university. I grew in an area where people were not passing exams easily, so if you pass a bit, you are number one. So I was fortunate to share that position selfishly for too long, either in primary, high school, and university. So the reason why I found myself interacting with a corporate or an employer, I again passed exams. I got a first class. And I was told, wow, people who have got this kind of degree stand here and employers are coming to university to talk to us. And the usual suspects, who are they in those days? Banks and audit firms. Pricewaterhouse, KPMG, Ernst & Young, which may not be a bit relevant to some of you here who are doing sciences. And again, what? Banks. So within a month, I was to join PwC as an audit. And I had no interest in accounting to become an audit something. But during the same time, I attended, they used to be called interview symposiums, where you go for an interview in a hall like this. There are 1,000 people, and they're looking for 2 or 3. And you ask yourself, why do I have to do this? And I tell this story to somebody who today is very senior and heads a very large financial institution as a HR director. He was there as a young HR officer telling us to make the line. I never grew up in the city, in Nairobi. I grew up in the coast. And although my village is in Nanyuki. So I grew up in the coast. So I spoke very broken English, even after university. So we were to do an aptitude test, 90 questions in 60 minutes. If you pass, maybe you might be given a job. Those days, companies used to hire people called management trainees. These are rookie, new people from school who've never studied, who are not sure what they want to do in life. Remember, we were not as clever as you. I had the young girl here, the young lady here talk about that degree she's doing. Just like my friend I don't want to pronounce it. I'll bite my tongue. Something closer to mechatronics. I can't comprehend what that is, but that sounds like something very hard. It's a STEM course, it's a science course. So those days, companies used to believe it's not what you want, it's what we want. And the only thing we know to identify you as the right person, you just have passed an exam. So you get good marks in any subject, in any degree course, and they give you a job. Because they know you are teachable. You can understand things. It's very funny. I keep a lot of dogs, and I now understand how to pick puppies who are teachable. So there was a belief that if you got an A, you can be taught to get an A in something else. That was the philosophy. So after 2 hours of lining up, 1.5 hours of an aptitude test, go home and wait. We will call the ones who need to become management trainees. And you can imagine how. There's no email, there's no mobile number. Give a post office box. And 95% of the guys who showed up in that hall in Karen, in a big hall like this one, Nairobi, they're not from Nairobi. They don't even have a box number. So I put down my auntie's box number, who was in the city, my mom's younger sister. And I went to her office every morning to see whether those guys have given a reply for 30 days. Because they said they're going to contact you through that box number. Second month, she gave me the key. Now you go to that box on Haile Selassie Avenue and check that box every day if those guys will bring a letter or not. After around 2.5 months, for the first time I saw my name printed on an envelope. Because I'd never seen a letter addressed to me printed. It had to be handwritten. And I said, wow, this looks like the thing. When opened, it was. It was a qualification for an internship at Citibank. I didn't know which organization was that. In fact, during the interview, I thought the institution was Barclays. Can you imagine? You don't even know who's the employer, who's the potential employer. But we were told that the entity which was doing the aptitude tests does it for many financial organizations. So the results are shared with many organizations, and they choose you, just like the way you choose cows and goats in a market. So they choose based on the results or the pedigree. I hope that doesn't happen anymore. So I was chosen by Citibank among two other people. Unfortunately, the 2 other people were not from Kenya. They were from 2 other countries. So 1 year of being a management trainee, that I cannot fail to say opened my eyes to the world. Because for the first time, I had this card which opens doors. I couldn't sleep just looking at it with my name. So this is it. This actually opens a door of a bank. The institution was in Upper Hill, and there was no matatus, so you have to walk from town every day up there. I'd come from a warm area, so it was very chilly in Nairobi 20 years ago. But it was fun because it was exciting. Everything looked like unbelievable. There were so many computers, and it was nice. And there was some money in it. And it was highly exposing because it was 6 months in Nairobi and 6 months in London. And seeing your name on a passport book, it was unbelievable. I tell my 10-year-old son what it means to have a passport. He thinks it's just a right. He just says, yeah, I need it because I need to travel. I say, my goodness. But that is how career used to start those days. Very, very accidental, based on a mark, passing an exam. Today, it might not start that way. It might start by an opportunity, and as a networking, a raising up your hand. All the young people who have managed to work with me, I can tell you, including a colleague of mine who's here, they are good and they work with us, not because they were the best, but because they said, I can do it. And they were told, come. and do it, and they have excelled. So today, you have to stand up and say, I'm the one, I want to do it. Those days, the clever students used to hide behind. I never raised up my hand in primary and high school and in university. Of course, I don't think university will raise our hands. But today, you have to say, I want it. I'm ready. I want to make a difference. I'm the lady, I'm the guy you need. Might appear very overconfident, but that's what companies want. They want confident, committed, dedicated, well-disciplined young women and men to run companies. Of course, it was very unfortunate after 1 year at Citibank, they said, you are well-trained, you are the best, but we are not employing you. Stay at home until now we give you a permanent job. And be ready to go anywhere in Africa, including Kenya. Again, those days, marks were very important. So staying at home with good grades, and you've just come from unbelievable experience of what I've just described, somebody else who also wants to work with you. So I got another job immediately. And fast pace forward, I discovered my niche. When I worked at Citibank, I had spent 3 months in the Treasury Department. Treasury Department in a bank is the most prestigious department because it deals with two things, money and too much technology. So when I was the last to leave the office, I used to be asked to pick all the papers, sweep the office, arrange the seats of everyone for the next day work. So I used to leave the office at 8, from 6 to 8. I used to love it. I have no place to go. And I wish I had a camera. I wish I could do a selfie, what you guys do today, because I could sit in my boss's seat and see the 4 screens he had with all financial numbers and just say, my goodness, this looks like an aeroplane. Looks like a cockpit. So one of the things which will excite you is things you like, technology, fancy stuff. I remember one day he found me sitting on that chair. He told me, Anthony, don't wake up, but it's going to take you at least 30 years to sit there, formally. He was a very nice, American-educated gentleman of Asian origin. He told me, yeah, it's going to take 30 years. Thank God it took shorter than that. But the lesson was that it was excitement, dedication, and hard work. And as I'd said, some good grades. So later I've worked for many organizations. I was very fortunate. 10 years later, I was appointed by Stanbic, the investment arm, as their chief investment officer, to run a business similar to the one I run today, to be responsible for investments. And that was exciting, very exciting. Later, after another 5 years, I got a chance to do the same role in another bank. Today we call it NCBA. Later, 5 years later, I got a chance to work for ABSA, former Barclays, my first MD role as a young chief executive. But I'll tell you one thing. When I worked for Stanbic in 2010, because I joined in 2008, in 2010, the guy who hired me, my boss, said he's leaving and he wants to retire early. And he's a friend to me. And he was very young. I think he was only 5 years older than me. That time I was in my early 30s. Then he told me, I've put your name to be the next MD. I said no. I was very categorically no. And I knew it takes long to hire somebody else. So he told me, don't worry about it. Then you act for the next 6 months, and another guy will come. I refused to act. I was very sure I didn't want senior leadership. I wanted to be a technician, a technical person who does complicated things, because I love math. Then we got a very capable Kenyan from abroad to come and become my boss. He had come from Canada, and I supported him for 5 years. Then I discovered it's actually not very scary to be the boss. So 10 years later, I said, if that chance happens, I'll raise my hand. So what's the difference? What's the lesson? Today, you'll be called upon for extreme responsibility at half the age, at 25, at 30, at 35. Please raise your hand. Don't be like me. Don't shy. Say, I'm not ready. Anytime someone offers you a chance of leadership or responsibility, like Mbogo, what he's doing for us here, they know you can do it. So you might be scared, but take it. And if you fail, you learn and you rise again. And that's what, as young people, we are fortunate. And it was strange for me because when I was in high school, I was the school captain. But I refused to take a senior leadership position in my early 30s. Take those opportunities, they come. They are few and far apart. Where I work, I think I'm the oldest. And there are so many young people. I don't know what's going to happen because all of them want to be the boss. I don't know what's going to happen. So it tells you, when the opportunity comes, take it. It's always, the opportunity is 1 out of 100. And by chance you are chosen without asking for it. Know that there's a reason you've been chosen. And if you've not been chosen, come forward and say, I can do it. I can do it. And I've seen it because I work with young people a lot. There's a young man who was my intern in a job in an institution 3 years ago. I mean, it's 8 years ago. We hired him for one reason. He was very good with writing reports using any software and digitizing. I'm a spreadsheet person. So he could make spreadsheets become like systems. He had done computer science. And he became so instrumental, we relied on him on everything in doing presentations, not doing presentations, preparing presentations and preparing good data and information to show to shareholders or to other leaders or to clients. And we ended up traveling with him a lot, all over. And one day, when we were having casual lunch between me, him, and our MD then, I was what they call a CIO. He out of jokingly said, guys, how did you get these jobs? Just ask us. Say, I don't know, but we are the guys now. He said, okay, that's nice, but you don't look very clever. I said, okay. Then he said, I can do what you guys do. So I had a very old-fashioned MD. He told me after that, I don't want to see that young man again. It disturbed me because I believed in speaking up and saying I can do. But I discovered one thing. The way he put it to us, and he had a very big difference between us and him. There were so many managers and senior people below him. And he had that access to power, access to leadership. He spoke with a bit of less respect. And my boss, who was slightly old-fashioned, picked it negatively. So what that mean to you? People will judge you for the tiniest, less meaningful thing you think is important for you. So you'll have the skills, the education, the contacts, the networks, but don't allow yourself to be judged by the little thing which is speaking up, but in a respectful manner. And leadership is very sensitive about that. For example, there's a very big difference between the way you speak to your colleague and you speak to our vice chancellor. that can be the moment which changes everything positively or negatively. From that young colleague who was very talented, unfortunately, we had to let him go for such a small, simple mistake, which I didn't thought it was serious, but my MD thought it was serious. Now, as I conclude, there are 3 levels of, I don't want to use the word success, of making a difference, which you'll experience. One is financial. The other one is a title or a name or a designation. And the other one is relationship or influence. So the financial part, you'll not avoid it. If you are given heavier responsibility, there's a chance you'll be given a little more. But remember one thing, that a little more requires your effort to manage it, and that's why my colleagues are here to talk about financial literacy. The second one, you'll be given a title, a designation, a chief so-and-so, a managing so-and-so. Just know that title belongs to the office, not you. So it should not blind your thinking, your behavior, your way of doing things. Because by the end of the day, when you go home, you are Jane, you are Mary, you are Patience, you are Margaret, you are John, you are Peter, you are Ndungo, you are Otieno, you are Amboi, you are Kimngetich, etc. Don't get so excited about the title. But the title is important for the office you've been given. Then the third one is influence or relationship. Once you are making a difference. The influence you'll have a chance to push forward will make you either succeed more or succeed less. Where I live, a young lady, a neighbor of mine, was appointed a permanent secretary, and she was surrounded by all symbols of power. And my daughter told me, you know what, I don't mind being her. All those cops, all those big cars following us around, there are cops in our gates today because of them. Why don't I become like her? Yeah, that is what is attracting the young person today. The influence from the symbols of power. It's very tempting. It's very tempting. Very tempting. Take it, but it should not override who you are and the difference you want to make and the impact you want to do. Because I'm not the most religious person, but I know a bit about the Bible, that once you succeed and you excel, always remember that when so much is given to you, so much responsibility, and most importantly, uphold of that office is required. Thank you and have a nice afternoon.
Thank you very much, Director. Asante sana. I'm hoping we have learned something. Si ni kweli? I'm hoping we have. And to add on job titles, I once shared a conversation where I was told, Derek, understand that there is nothing like a job title. It does not exist. The only thing that exists is an organization with needs. If today we need somebody mwenye tutamuita bucket holder, your work is just to hold a bucket. You're going to pay for a bucket holder if the organization requires a person to hold a bucket. So at the end of the day, don't think about jobs as job titles. Think them about needs. An organization has a need and you can fulfill that need. Si ni kweli? As we continue, I'm going to call upon my assistant for the day. I organize the seats. We are going to be having our final session with the one and only Mr. Ndege and his panel to take us through some more lessons. So it's going to be a very short session, 45 minutes max. Make sure you have your questions ready. Sawa sawa, za quick fire. and so that you can learn something. I had promised to share my CV. I'm also doing a bachelor's here. Si ngumu, nafanya BBA. Marketing major. I'm doing a marketing bachelor's, and I'm also a digital marketer by profession. Si ni kweli? Hizo si titles za kujipatia, ni kusoma nimesoma. Okay, sasa we have Ndege. We also have an organization here in Nyeri championing for the rights and the empowerment of the youth. That is also something I do, by the way. Si ni kweli, eh? So I'm happy to have shared with you. I'm waiting for you, Ndege. Ama ate anataka makofi yake. Makofi. DJ, hata weka ngoma, simama as the seats crowd. Everybody stand up.
How you budget it, how you put some money aside, a savings, emergency funds. You just know what you're going to do with your cash.
Money is the first word that comes to mind, of course. So what I'd say financial education is, how do you get the money and what do you do with the money?
Talks about money, like talks on how to budget, how to invest and save, talks on pension planning and stuff like that.
I would say yes, I do have habits that I have put in place, structures that I've put in place to help me ensure that I have good financial health.
I started a food business that is currently doing very well. So I'd say, apart from spending money, I also just research ways to invest money.
Okay, I'm a graphic designer. So the money I get from my hustle, I use some of it to invest in the hustle, and then some of it I save, and then some of it I use for my upkeep.
There's so much that you can do with the little money that you got.
I save and I spend. Those are the two main things. I haven't gotten a chance to really invest.
Work on just investing in my future.
I'll know better ways of actually making use of old mutual.
I can't say I'm the best when it comes to spending money.
And one mistake I see people doing is saying that they'll wait till they get good money so that they can start investing and they can start saving.
Every young person needs this. In the world we are moving to, you need to learn how to save, how to let your money work for you.
It was exciting to learn that I can actually narrow down to what I should have, what I must have, what I have that I don't really need to use. There are things that maybe end up wasting my money for no reason. So I think, yes, I've really learned a lot, which I look forward to apply.
For most of us young people, we tend to give up when we can't see the gain. But this is a long-term game. So how do you keep that momentum? How do you keep that mindset and start young and keep investing?
Yes, because investment is about risk, I think I'll be able to take this one. But now I have more knowledge and I'll be more cautious as I do savings and investing.
It was amazing because you got to engage, like I said, from both fronts and got to hear the perspective of students and the perspective of someone trying to, bring that kind of conversations to students. Yes.
Integration into our education system as you do your introduction and give your opening remarks. My far left, sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zonasis Ndegwa, working for Old Mutual Investment Group. So I take care of the retail business for the investment group, basically unit trusts and wealth management. And as part of the role of the investment company is we are giving I've forgotten the name of the institution, of curriculum development, KIDC. So we have given them a lot of information and we are sharing with them on how this needs to be included, or investments and matters financial literacy be included in the education system. You're taught how to read and write, you're taught first aid, you're taught life skills, but matters to do with money, you're not taught. So we are doing that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ms. Clarice.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Clarice Wananyanga. I work for Old Mutual Life in the training department.
I'm very passionate about financial planning, and I'm also a believer that every day is school day. And so in matters integrating financial education to our lives, I don't think we need to wait until we go to school, because even at home, where most basic things are taught, we can start to include money management skills for the young ones. Involve them in budgeting, let them know the value for money. If they are getting to buy candy, how much can this buy if it's not buying candy? Like probably the same amount of money that can buy a piece of chocolate could be what they need to buy a loaf of bread for the entire family. So we need to start from where charity begins, at home. And just to reiterate what my colleague has said, All Mutual has partnered with KICD in creating content for junior secondary and senior secondary to enable our young people to get financial knowledge at a young stage so that they don't make the same mistakes we made with our first paycheck. Thank you.
We'll put a pause on that. We're coming back to it. I'll jump right to Mr. Nick.
So good afternoon all.
Good afternoon.
So my name is Nick in Faulu Bank, where I take care of institutional banking and partnerships. So we cannot belabor the importance of financial education. And in tandem, that goes along with financial independence, financial literacy, and financial freedom. So they follow suit. Once you achieve one, well, you're able to roll off to the next. So it's never too early to open up to discussions around how to manage finances. However small, for one in their formative years, it's recommended that you actually open up discussions even around having a piggy bank and just planting the seed of how to accumulate. So thanks.
You know, when you talk about piggy banks, I remember my primary and high school days. We'll wait until they're full, then we break them. We don't take them to the bank. Then we go buying candy and sweets. It was a fun moment then, but again, looking back, I think it is important that we start talking about these things from as a very advent of growth, you know, as young as pre-primary, primary, post-primary, and even in campus. And as you say, it's never too late, and again, it's never too early. So we can always do this. Ms. Clarice, I'll jump right back at you. I see your specialization is in budgeting, goal setting, and savings. There's this question. You've said that charity begins at home. Yeah, that's right. But remember, it's one thing to teach, and again, it's another thing to actually practice. So how do we ensure that we have the right strategies for creating and sticking to these budgets and these plans that we have for financial management?
Budgeting is just part of money management. There are many practices that we need to inculcate in our daily lives for us to, manage money and get to that day when we say we are financially free. You mentioned Robert Kiyosaki talking about financial freedom. He also talks about the mind being the basic tool that we all have. And if the mind is properly trained, then it can help you acquire wealth almost instantly. Kiyosaki also talks about money giving us power, but he also talks about financial education being the most powerful tool. And so without the right financial wellness, even budgeting does not work. And I think we are very fortunate to be exposed to financial wellness at this age. And so budgeting is just part of financial planning. But how do we get to, be disciplined with budgeting? It goes back to, what do I want to achieve? Because money management is linked to goal setting. What do I want to achieve now? What do I want to achieve in the midterm? What do I want to achieve in the long term? Because you will realize that most of the goals that we want to achieve in life require money. I keep saying that money is actually the nucleus to our comprehensive wellness. And when people say money can't buy happiness, probably they don't know where to shop. Because in as much as happiness is not a product that has been displayed on the shelves in our malls, money enables us to buy the things that make us happy. I want that brand car, I need money. I want that kind of education, I need money. I need that designer, cologne, I need money. So if money can enable me to buy the things that I love, it actually buys me the happiness that I can't find on the shelves. And so that calls for budgeting. But again, budgeting is one of the most misused terminologies. Even for the working class, at the end of every month we say, nenda kufanya budget. You get your boom, your loan from the government to sponsor education. Before the money comes in, you want to budget. But when money comes in, you end up spending it anyhow.
Yeah, sure.
So back to goal setting. What do I want to do with this money in terms of personal development and my growth? That is what will make me stay disciplined to the course of budgeting. But again, someone could be wondering, how do I go about budgeting? Or have tried budgeting and it hasn't worked for me. The most basic that you can do to know where your money is going is expense tracking. Because most of us actually struggle with budgeting. Maybe I'm not good at maths. I don't know which tools to use. But then the big question is, are you in charge of the trips your money is making? Your money makes so many trips, but you are the enabler of those trips.
Yeah, sure.
I want to join a bandwagon, I want to live a certain lifestyle. Do I have the wings? You see, if you must join a bandwagon, get the wings. So budget for it. Delay gratification. So the big question is, where is your money going? So the last week of your life, the last 7 days, where has your money been going? And it goes to expense tracking, basic writing of where your money is going, basic writing of the things you're spending money on. You will realize then that there are things you're spending money on that you don't need now.
Yeah, sure.
The things you're spending money on that are too expensive for you. It means you don't have the buying power. You are struggling. And why are you struggling? You want to live another man's life. And when we define financial planning or financial wellness, basically it is understanding your personal financial situation. Personal, not group.
Situation.
Personal financial situation. And then being able to make informed decisions concerning your current and future life. I must accept what my buying power is. I must accept that things I can't afford now, but it doesn't mean I can't afford them in 5 years from now. Simply put, live within your means. Do not live another man's life. It is faking it. It's living a life of emergency. It's living a rat race life.
Okay.
No money for emergency, no money for midterm, no money for future. And even as a student, you must learn to live within your means. Stay disciplined to budgeting by tracking your expenses, and then you realize the things you don't need on that budget, the things you can reduce on that budget, and the things you must remove from that budget. Thank you.
Wow, wonderful. Cutting your coat according to your size. That is what I'm getting from actually the outline that you're giving us in terms of strategy. And that brings me to one atomic issue that you've raised, where we're talking about financial wellness, and that is in relation to investment. I'll come to Mr. Onassis. When it comes to investment and again attaining financial wellness, what do I have to look at in terms of the choice on the right savings account and the investment mistakes that most people make? What can you say about this as somebody who specializes in that field?
Thank you very much. And just in response to your question, achieving financial wellness is not an event. It's a process. You have to start by setting aside little bits of money. And you have to check, like my colleague has mentioned, she has mentioned that you start small. You track your expenses. Then you make a decision and say, this money is going to go towards a certain goal. So the first thing you do is you set a goal. I want to buy something. Then how do I start? So most people think that being financially free is an event, that you'll come out here and tomorrow you are rich. No. So take the little money that you have and set aside a portion of it. And it's important where you're setting it aside is somewhere that it's earning you a return. So you look at, are you putting it in a piggy bank where it's earning 0? Okay? Or actually losing value? Because the price of a banana 5 years ago is not the same price today.
Yeah, sure.
So those are the critical decisions you make. So if you're not using that money at present, you can set it aside either with a bank in a savings account or what we normally call unit trusts or money market funds. So a money market fund essentially is where you put money and it earns a return. And as and when you want to take out your money, you can withdraw your funds. So it is very important you select an account where you're putting the money and it's earning a return. Because remember, tomorrow things will be much more expensive than they were today. Those intending to go back who are coming from Nairobi, just know you're going to pay a higher fare than you paid coming here because of the change in fuel price. So you have to ensure that you're taking care of your money and it's earning you a return. So there are different types of investments that you can put your money in, and we'll be speaking in more detail about how unit trusts operate, how money market funds work, because that's an easier way for you to set aside your money and it continues to earn a return.
As we anticipate the avenues that are available for us to actually save and invest, I'll get to Mr. Nick. In the wake of digital banking, we're talking about e-currency, you're talking about having shares, stocks, and all that. A banker's perspective, is this where we need to invest in? Is this the future of banking? And what do we look at while doing this?
Thanks, Ndege, for that question. Digital platforms give additional cushion as to channels where you can deploy your money. But then again, by the book, any kind of investment must be backed by some kind of regulation. You don't want to be very bullish when you're getting into some of these spaces. Of course, when you go digital, there's a risk element to it. There are issues around data protection. There are issues about data leakage. There are no regulations in that space. So my advice would be use these digital means as channels to deploy your wealth. Far and above, of course, a lot has changed, but it's always important to look at what the ground rules are, even as you get into, in some of these digital investments. The old age is, if you live by your gross, you die by your means. Most of these digital channels are actually out to give, convenience in deploying your investment. So it's a catch-22, but the rule is, as you even get into this space to deploy your wealth, always look out for some level of regulation. Thanks.
Catch-22 situations, they leave you with no option, and most of the times you have to make the hard decisions. And I think being in a microwave generation, we always want results the very moment we are putting in our investment. And we're always thinking of that point where I want to put in my money today, I want it to have doubled by tomorrow. And that's why when the MD mentioned something about planes and all that, the next thing I heard from the audience was aviator. You know, like we want our money to double, triple, quadruple, and so on. And it's very funny. And that will bring me back to Mr. Onassis. You've been in the investment platform. And there are these things, money market funds, you tell somebody about it, you tell the various investment opportunities we have. But the youth says, I want to bet because I'm very sure that money, I'm putting it right now. When my team plays, the next 2 hours I'll be having my money at hand. I mean, where is it?
Okay, great. I'm not sure I got your question in detail, but what I'd say is sometimes people do not understand what investments is and when you call something an investment. So in the book that you've quoted, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he talks about it and he defines the 4 quadrants. So there is employment, where you're, as Sam said it, you're offering yourself and your services, okay, in exchange for money. In the same book, he talks about self-employment, where you are the one doing the job and getting paid, okay? And if you don't go to work, you don't make money. In the same book, he talks about business. So a business is where there are other people also working. You could also be working, but there are other people also working with you or for you. And a business has ability to be expanded. But can you expand employment beyond 24 hours? Can you extend self-employment beyond yourself? Business is scalable. That's the word they use. You can scale up a business. And a business can give you 1,000, 2,000, 5,000% return, even almost instantly. But investments is passive. You are not involved in the creation of that wealth. Okay? And that's why you'll find that investments have a lower return than business. If I go out there and buy, and I remember in my campus life, we used to go all the way to, I studied in JKUAT. Used to go all the way to Nairobi CBD, go and buy popcorn kernels, and go back to school and make popcorn outside the school gate. In that bag, we could double our money in 2 or 3 days. And that is a business, not an investment. An investment is where you set aside your money and it earns a low return. It's not very high. You're not going to double your money 100% or 200%. It's going to get there eventually, but all it requires is time. So that confusion of, like I would say what you referred to, is more like a business where you're actively involved in making decisions. In investments, you're not actively involved in making decisions. Today I came with one of our investment managers seated here. He's the one who makes the investment decisions. So he decides to buy a certain share, place in a certain bond or a treasury bill, and there is a return that comes out of it. So it is important to remember that what we are talking about is the money that you're not utilizing. The money that is staying in your bank that is not for any business. It's what you put aside to earn an income, and you're not involved in the decision making. So that's what investments is. So do not confuse it with business. Thank you.
Now, I think it is necessary that we attended this training because I think what we've been thinking as investment is actually business. And it's important to understand the quadrant, like each part and each segment of this quadrant. What does it hold and how is it defined? And just as we've had, it is important also that we get to understand that the bedrock, the foundation of the things that we do in terms of decision making, whether it is active, whether it is passive. What you're doing as business is active, where you are involved yourself. But again, this they do passively. That is why he's talking about bonds, now buying treasury bills and all that stuff. So is it more of we should jump to the passive action or the active action from this point of view as comrades?
Very interesting question. Is at some point you need to do a bit of combination of what you're doing. As I mentioned earlier, I was in school, busy studying. I think if my mother was here and father, they realized that I spent part of my time selling popcorn. They'll not be very happy. So it's important you do a bit of combination. When you leave school, you must try and generate an income. And the generation of that income, it will require you to be in the 4 segments. And because you've studied, the first point to look at will be getting a job. So you get out there and you get a job. That job might provide you capital to do business. Or it might empower you to have the skills to start your own business, so that you're self-employed, or you move to the business section. So remember, it is a journey. So you start by trying and generating an income. Because for you to start a business, you'll have to have capital. It can be sweat capital where you're the one working, or it can be money. So once you get the money, then you decide, I'm channeling this money to a business. And once you get a return from that business, you're going to channel part of that money to investments. So you're saying, I'm setting this aside, I want to grow my business to this much, and the only way to do it is setting aside a little bit of money, okay? So it's a combination. Even some of us here, we are in employment. Some of us here own businesses. And they also have investments that they have set aside. So it's a combination of the three things. And that's why I'm saying that with financial wellness is not an event. Tomorrow you'll not be financially free. It is a process. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I believe we are running a marathon. That is what it is. It is not a short sprint where you have to have the energy burst and then get done with. It is progressive. Each step, it is building and coming to it. And now, Clarice, I'm back at you. Operation of financial goals in the face of limited resources. Yes, I want to be financially disciplined. I want to invest. I want to, bank. But my resources are limited. Limited, remember. So how does it go?
The same Kiyosaki talks about, it's not how much we earn, it's how much we save. And I'll go back to the definition of financial wellness. Accepting, understanding my personal financial situation. That is where it all starts. That's the backbone of financial freedom. Limited is relative. When you say your resources are limited, you are comparing them to what or to whom? Let's start by first defining basic. When we were in primary school, we were taught about basic needs. And they were very well defined: food, shelter, clothing. So I am a student, for instance. I already have a hostel paid for by my parents. I have enough clothing, and I can access a meal. My basic needs are taken care of. How then do I get to a situation where I do not have transport to come to school? It means that the limited is really in quotes, I am creating the limitation. And quite often we create these limitations because we are comparing lifestyles. There's a law of life, or we call it the Parkinson's principle of life, that, defines human beings as living incrementally. I always want to live better than I lived yesterday, even when my resources do not allow. And when resources improve, the first thing I do is improve my life. I don't improve my savings. I don't improve my, investments. So the limited resource is a mindset. And when we talk about financial planning, we also talk about how we think and feel about money. Because if you always look at your money as too small, too limited, you will not get a financial breakthrough. Because of that Parkinson's principle of life, even when the money grows, it will still look limited to you because you're looking forward to living a better life. And better for you, again, is relative. Better for me could be different from better for you. So we create the limited situation because of our money mindset. Look at a seed principle, for instance. If I gave you a jar of, you called it what kernel? The maize, the popcorn, the seed. If I gave you a jar of that seed, you have three options. You can pop it and consume it, with a bottle of a soft drink. In one sitting, it's done. You could sell it off for some little money. You could also choose to plant it. And if you choose to plant it, it gives you more seed. So our money mindset is what determines what we become with our money, because we create a relationship with our money. And that relationship is what determines if we become financially free or we become financially bonded. If you looked back in the villages or the estates we live, you will identify two crops of people. Those who seemingly earn so well, but who seem to live a very difficult lifestyle. Yes. They're always borrowing, they're always in financial distress. And you also find another crop of humans who don't seem to earn so much, but who live a very decent lifestyle. They don't earn so much, probably their salary scale is quite low, they have educated their children, they have a decent house, they have some, cattle that they're farming, not because they earn so much, but because they save so much, because they've accepted to live within their means. So limited is a mindset. Treat your money with some love and passion. Start creating a good relationship with your money by putting value to the money. So what can my 100 shillings do? My 100 shillings could actually buy me a pack of snacks. But my 100 shillings could buy me 5 eggs and I'll have a decent meal. 20 shillings that you look at as very little money that can just buy you some chewing gum is what you may need to buy a packet of matches to light your fire for a whole month, or buy a packet of salt to cook your food for 2 months. So what is the value for your money? Limited is an attitude. Thank you.
Well, limited is an attitude, and you know, when you bring in relativity, then I think we look at things from a very different perspective. Like that 20 shillings, I'll be like, I'll just go buy some smoky or sausage and then bite it. But again, you're looking at it from the point of view of maybe a box of matchstick or maybe a pack of salt. Makes the difference. I think it's all about changing the perspective. I'll come back to Nick as we now get into the question session from the audience. Asset insurance coverage. I want to bank with you. I've identified an institution, I've researched about them and all this. How do I ensure that my assets are safe when I'm doing investment?
Super. So one of the things, I'll just take you back to regulation. So make sure that any institution you're setting investments in is regulated. There are regulatory bodies around. If you're looking at insurance, there's a body that regulates that. If you're looking at banking, definitely there's a body that regulates that. And similarly, cuts across. Any kind of investment has to be regulated. Again, from a risk perspective, risk management has to be informed by a lot of factors. History, for example, and trends of a certain entity should inform greatly as to how suitable a particular vehicle is in terms of investment. It's always important to borrow from trends and the macroeconomic factors as well. But borderline, ensure regulation is top of mind. And I'll just borrow from my co-panel, attitude. The attitude towards money, how little, how much, what it can do, stems from the skills you acquire and the knowledge, abbreviated as ASK, attitude, skills, and knowledge. So all these come into play even as you interact with a particular entity. If it's, if it's too good, think twice. That's the old adage, yeah? There's also, at the back of our minds, we are taught, keep money for a rainy day. But do we keep money for the sunny day? Do we keep money for the cloudy day? So it's just food for thought. It's about your attitude, even as you go out and invest, all right? Thanks.
Making hay while the sun shines. Attitude, skill, and knowledge. And at this juncture, I'd love to go to our audience. I know they have questions that are burning deep within. Some have things they feel have not been touched on, and they'd love to pose them to our panelists. Kindly, I'd request my event managers, the roving mic can be going to the audience as we get to listen to what they have to say. I'll pick the first 3 questions, then we can proceed from that point.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Kelvin Cheroge. I'm a finance student, a finalist actually, awaiting graduation. So most of the students around, they do savings just for emergencies. And you mentioned about savings do spend around a year before they can be withdrawn from the account. So my question is, how long do the savings have to stay in the bank before I withdraw? What if, in case I have an emergency? How fast can I access my savings? Then secondly, how can I develop realistic financial goals and develop a robust savings habit to maintain that? Then thirdly, most of us students around here, based from the school help, we develop our businesses. The same way this weekend, coming this weekend, you have a date business night where individual students are given an opportunity to develop their businesses. So my question is, businesses create a fortune. So, what are some of the common tax saving strategies for individuals and SMEs? Because we're in the business to make money. And I am very sure entrepreneurs do hate taxes a lot. I do hate taxes also. So, those are some of my questions. And I'll be so grateful if you answer them rightly. Thank you.
We will turn to your questions. I think we'll take another one from that front.
So, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mark. My name is Mark Mudomi. I am a second year building construction student, also passionate about agriculture. My question is, how do you view investments in terms of the places to invest? Do you view it in terms of your interest? Say a business student would view money market funds, and a food technology student would view agriculture as their investment opportunity. And also, I would also want to ask this question. Our madam, you've told us about living as by your means. So I was looking at somewhere, the same Kiyosaki, just a video being interviewed with Trump. He was saying something to do with living probably beyond your, something investments, living beyond your investments. People are living beyond their investment. People should be living not just beyond their, below their means, but also within their investments. So this goes to probably, should we like be living in a life where you do something, not just because you have it, but because you want to put your mind into having it. That would also be it. And also, I would also want us to discuss something to do with the creation of businesses and companies. How do we get there? How do we get to that level of understanding that we can build companies and businesses?
Thank you so much. The last question will come from this front. Then I'll delegate specific questions to a specific panelist for response. Richard.
Okay. Check 1, 2. Yes, my name is Richard Okasiba. Is a finalist, accounting and finance. I wanted to ask some few questions, and one of them is not about financial literacy. It's about how you manage your time, and how did you manage your time while in campus? Because we want also to know that anyone can answer that. And my specific question now goes to Madam Clarice when it comes to budgeting. I've interacted with some of the people. They have been telling me different things. One of them told me that you need to budget before you receive that money. So I need the opinion on when is the right time to budget, when you have that money or before you have that money. Something else, maybe I will direct this question to, was it Mr. Ndegwa? Yes, it's about investment. Kindly, if you can, do you mind expounding on what are the investment products? Maybe you can say that when it comes to money market, and what is the difference? Maybe you can tell us when it comes to money market and the capital market. What do we need? I have heard before something on CDC accounts. Maybe you can expound on that if we can afford to invest on that direction. And the last one is on banking and partnerships. Kindly, when that is from Mr. Nick, I guess, we have maybe a small organization that we want to maybe to form as an organization. How do we register it? Maybe as a partnership, or didn't I get more about partnership? Kindly elaborate. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The last question will come from that end.
Okay, first of all, thank you for this opportunity to ask this question. My main question is about investments. Could you please guide us on the procedures to take when assessing the risks to take to invest our small funds into a business venture? And please expound and clarify on how we are supposed to use the profits on our investments and how to make the decisions of how we can maybe use a certain percentage to reinvest or use this amount to make pleasure buy things for ourselves. And my second question is about the value of money, of which Madam Clarice had talked about. And how can we differentiate of valuing our money from being stingy? In that, in as much as you said you could use these 20 shillings to buy a matchbox, like some people could see us as being stingy, as like, why can't you use that money to buy maybe a pin pop or something like that? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to believe that's the last question we are having for this particular panel. So I think I'll start with Ms. Clarice. You've been directed to about 4 questions. The first one is you differentiate between value for money and stinginess. The second one is do I budget before saving, or do I budget when the money comes in? When is the right time to budget? And then the last one, I think, is about saving for individuals and SMEs. Kindly speak to those 4 focal points.
When do I budget? There's always an anticipation. You always, on most occasions, you are aware of how much money is coming in. And so it is important to, budget before the money comes in. Because if you don't budget before the money comes in, then there is this prospect of impulse buying. So you see, naturally, there is an excitement when money hits the account. And I think we have all experienced it. Now in the digital era where we have USSD and mobile banking, when money hits the bank, you will know at whatever place you are. So at the comfort of your home, you can actually spend it. And, to distinguish between being stingy and putting value to your money, again, that is relative, because we have money personalities. Just like we have people that we call introverts, extroverts, even that affects us. Our inherent personalities affect how we relate with money. So naturally, we have spenders, and we also have savers. There's somebody that you'll be so sure they have money, but if you ask for that money, they'll tell you they don't have, even if you have seen them put in the wallet. That is a natural saver. And most of these people actually accumulate wealth, and they easily get to financial independence. And then you have natural spenders. When money hits the bank, oh my goodness, they spend until they drop. Kesi badai. So the YOLO attitude. So today I want to remind you to replace the YOLO with the YODO. You only die once, but living, you will live. And you want to live tomorrow. You want to live 50 years from now. What kind of life do you want to live? What quality of life do you want to experience 50 years from today if you're spending every money that comes in? So you will budget before the money comes in. However, if you don't have a stable, standing, amount of money that comes in, you could actually review your budget once the money comes in. We have people who earn, for instance, on commission, and so they could have anticipated 100,000, but they get a net of 70. So that means that I have to review my budget. There are things I may have to remove, there are things I may have to reduce. And in budgeting, we must also categorize, our needs into basic, wants, and the things we do not need. So the easiest way to actually look at your budget is, first of all, spend 50% of your earnings on the basic things, the absolute necessities, the things you cannot do without. And I said, let us redefine basic. And then you can have 30% on your wants, and 20% is absolutely necessary that you save it for emergencies, for medium-term goals, and even for long-term. Probably just to add on a question that a comrade asked on, what if I am saving but I have an emergency? Anytime you consider saving and investment, have 3 categories of money. Have money now, which is an emergency fund. So make sure you're saving money you can access at a click of a button, because emergencies do not ring a bell that they're coming. Then have money for your goals. And your goals could be 1 year, your goals could be 5 years, your goals could be 10 years. And your goals don't need to require 100,000. Your goal could just be 10,000 capital to start your business after you leave college. So you save towards that. And then, of course, future money. I know it's too young to talk about retirement, but retirement is not just always by virtue of age. So as long as there's some money coming in, make sure you're working towards retirement. You could be an expert, but 3 years into your job market, you get an accident, get disabled, you can't be productive. When we retire, our needs do not retire. Plan for them early. Thank you.
When we retire, our needs do not retire. In 30 seconds, kindly talk about time management.
People talk about life balance, but I talk about a life rhythm. There are days that things just won't work, and there are days that you'll feel flexible. So when you have an opportunity to, get that leisure time, spend it in a quality way. Because once you get into the professional world, there are days that you can't just manage time, circumstances will manage your time. Like when we walked into this space, we were sure to leave by 4. We are still on this stage. So today, Dekut and the functions have managed my time. So there are occasions when I will not be in the space to manage my time. However, I will dance to the life rhythm when the opportunity comes. So there is no balance, only a rhythm. Thank you.
Dancing to the played music. That's spot on. Mr. Nick, I'd love to jump to the procedures for risk assessment. And then you'll help me also talk about, as a financial institution, what would you say about creation of businesses, the businesses and the processes involved?
Super. So risk assessment is based on a number of things. So whichever party you're getting into any kind of arrangement with, I think corporate governance underpins that kind of engagement. Whichever entity has to be governed by a certain framework. Again, it's important to look at the macroeconomic factors. For instance, there are industries right now, if you are to set foot in, you may not make money. Yeah? If you're looking at, for instance, the business of exporting with the current dollar play, you might not make money as compared to the factors that really prevailed a year ago. So macroeconomic factors play a key role. Corporate governance plays a key role. Again, your value system. It's important to be very sober when you're making investments. What is the end goal? What are you trying to achieve even as you invest? Avoid these quick wins. The element of luck may strike, but my question is, would you board a plane that you've been advised by the pilot has a cracked windscreen and you're supposed to leave for New York? I doubt. So even as you analyze your own risk, you must have goals. Align to those goals. Don't look at your neighbor or a different investor and try and match your risk profile to what they're doing. The risk profile differs from individual to individual. Again, it's important to look at how sustainable the kind of venture you're getting into. Is it long-term? Is it medium-term? Do you want to go bullish, make money and out? So these are, broadly speaking, those are some of the elements you look at. And for the guys in finance, Pestel is not new to you. The factors around Pestel, technological, legal, environmental, be it social factors, political factors, these come into play and should aid you in making a sound judgment when you're getting into risk assessment. Thanks.
Say in 45 seconds, can you kindly talk about banking and partnerships?
Yeah, so banking and partnerships is a new space in the global play. So partnerships, in essence, map out a framework based on thematic areas. These thematic areas are borrowed largely from, very beneficial areas that are spurring a given economy. If you look at our environment where we are right now, the immediate thematic area that comes to mind would be agribusiness. So from a partnership perspective, we localize our solutions from an extent of linking partners in a particular space to the would-be consumer. But at the end of the day, it's guided by a framework and what kind of impact that kind of partnership will have to the larger society. So the themes keep on shifting based on what you are looking at a given time. Green finance is big for now. Energy is big. Finance is big for now. Healthcare is big as well. And it's localized to your current needs. So partnership should never be confused with sponsorship. It's a different ballgame altogether. It gives value to specific segments we look at from time to time. Thanks.
Thank you so much. You have heard about green finance, energy finance, and the health sector. Those are the places to look at right now, according to trends. Robert Kiyosaki has been really mentioned in this particular forum. And I think we're looking at him from the perspective of a writer, and actually he has practiced it, and it has worked for him. The questions here that have been short, and I'd love Mr. Onassis, kindly, talk about savings for individuals and SMEs, then fuse it with living beyond investments, and that is in quotes, for a reason. And then talk about investment products as you take that journey.
Okay, thank you. There was a question by Kevin on savings, where an institution ties you down to a certain locked-in period for your money. And when you want to remove that money, you have to either wait for that time to lapse or forgo the interest. So there are other saving or investment solutions that exist. And maybe at this point I'll talk about the money market funds and how they operate. So a money market fund, first, the definition of a money market fund. This is a pool of investments that individuals bring money together. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. Individuals bring money together, then an investment manager places that money in different investments. So in a money market arrangement, the name money market means investments that are not more than 1 year. Okay? So they place the money in a treasury bill or a fixed deposit. And because you're receiving a lot of contributions every day, we're able to invest that money every day. And your money gets a return every day. That is what they call compound interest, where today you had put in 100 shillings, tomorrow there will be a small amount added to the 100 shillings. And tomorrow morning, that principal of yours plus interest becomes your principal. We are together. So your money is earning a return every day. And if you are to withdraw your money at any one point, you do not lose what has already been earned. And that's why you're seeing a lot of popularity, people putting money in money market funds. Okay? So that's a very good avenue for a student to save their money. I think you've seen a piece of paper being circulated. You can set up a money market account through your mobile phone. There is a WhatsApp journey where you just send the message hi to that number and it will ask you what you want to do. You can do it via USSD code. If you have a Safaricom line, you just dial *480# and you will have a money market fund account instantly. When you get 100 shillings, you put it there. When you have 200 shillings, you can put it aside. By the end of the month, if that money has been there for any number of days, you will get a return. Okay? So that's how money market funds work. The minimum amount you require is very little. It's money that you have access to, and it will help you set aside that money for a rainy day. Okay? Now, there was a question on savings and the procedure to take in investing proceeds from a business. So even for an individual like ourselves who are in employment, is that there is a certain portion of your money that should be destined for savings. And there is something we always talk about, the 50-30-20 rule. Okay? And this emerges from a story in the Bible. I'm sure most of you went to Bible school or Sunday school. So there was the story of Joseph, where he interpreted the dream of the Pharaoh. You all remember that story?
Yes, sure.
Anybody who've heard about that story?
I have.
Okay. So what happened in Egypt is that the Pharaoh had a dream. He saw 7 healthy cows and 7 unhealthy cows, and 7 healthy reeds and 7 very skinny reeds. And he looked for someone to interpret that dream so that he understands what was happening. And the interpretation done by Joseph was that there will be 7 years of abundance where there will be good harvest, and there will be 7 years of famine. Okay? So Joseph interpreted the dream, and the Pharaoh asked, so what should I do to ensure that when we have, when you're not in a period of abundance, that we continue existing? And he told the Pharaoh, you need to build silos. Okay? And there is something else that he told the Pharaoh. Anybody who can answer from the crowd? There's something else that he told the Pharaoh he should do.
From the crowd? Mbogo, why don't you
So he
answer?
told the Pharaoh that he should set aside 1/5 of each year's harvest. So even in olden days, they knew that saving or setting aside is very important. So they built a silo. So what is a 1/5 in percentage terms?
That's about 20.
It's 20%. Okay? So this comes from way back. So they set aside 1/5 of their harvest for 7 years. And when famine struck Egypt, what happened? They had enough to eat. Okay? And they had so much that even their neighbors were coming to eat from their country. So it is very important that you set aside 20% of any income you earn. And it will come and rescue you during difficult times. And remember, in one's life, you'll have good years and you'll have bad years. Some of us in the employment scene have witnessed bad years. When COVID struck and you are out of a job and your needs were still waiting for you. So that is the formula to understand how much do I need to set aside. So your income can vary, however, the distribution is still the same. 20% of any income you earn, kindly set it aside and it will come and rescue you in future. That's my response. Thank you.
While at it, kindly, there was a question that was asked on how do I use my profits? Once I've gotten them from my investment, how do I use them? Do I completely spend them? Do I plow them back? What do I do?
So again, the same scenario happens in the business world. So you'll evaluate how to scale up your business because you have a plan for scaling it up. So once you get your revenue and now you pay off your expenses, then that profit you should ask yourself, do I want to scale up the business now or I want to set it aside? So in business, it's a number of questions that you need to ask yourself. And importantly is also in business, you need to set aside part of that money in an investment environment. And remember, the investment will earn you a lower return than the business because the investment, you're not making decisions. It's a passive thing and you're getting a smaller return than what you'll get in a business. But you're setting it aside in case your business fails. You saw the hotel industry was greatly affected during the COVID-19 outbreak. So the institutions that had set aside money were able to survive and come back. But there are some that were completely closed. So it's important even in business, ensure that you're setting aside some of that money. Thank you.
As the curtains are about to drop, I'll allow each of you 45 seconds to give your parting shots and your additions.
Super. So thanks, Ndege. My parting shot is very simple. Somebody asked about time management. I think when you're at this stage in life, it's important to define your passion. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this before. So your passion should be able to keep you creative, right? This could be reading, expanding your mind and your thoughts. Another passion is, the second one would be one that keeps you fit. Yeah? So keeping you physically fit, because your body, you'll need it even in future. And of course, the third one is a passion that makes you money. And that's my parting shot. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Find one that keeps your mental fit, the other one is physically, and the other one that makes you money. You're built in all ways. Clarice.
My parting shot will be related to a question on living beyond your assets. The variable is that your assets should outlive you. And the reason is that it doesn't matter how professional we are. It doesn't matter how talented we are. One day, we are going to be non-productive. One day, nobody's going to look at your CV because you can't just be the face of that organization. You can't be creative enough. So what we need to be working towards is ensuring that we all are working to a day when money is working for us. That is when we say we have real assets, that I have an earned income. And this unearned income can outlive me. Comrade, you are important, and you left home to make home better. Make your time, make good use of your time here. Make money while you are here, because you can. Thank you.
Because you can.
Okay, my parting shot is, I think most of you are looking for the answer of how to be successful. And being successful is simple. Okay? All you have to do, if you want to write a book, make sure you are writing that book every day. If you want to do coding, make sure you are coding every day. The secret to success is discipline and consistency. That you're doing something every day. You're remaining consistent. And at the end of it, you will be successful. So it is to do things that you want to achieve every day. Wake up early, 4 a.m., you're up, and you're working towards that dream. So if you want to be successful, be disciplined and remain consistent. Anyone you see successful is disciplined and is consistent. So there is no one event. Discipline and consistency, and you'll achieve. I always tell students in my talk, pay now or pay later. Payment will be done. If you don't study, you'll be meeting your classmates out there. Ask yourself on which side you will be. So right now what you need to do in school is to study. It's the payment you are doing now. Later you'll see the fruits. You cannot be paying, you ensure that you are paying now, not paying later. So my parting shot, pay now or pay later. Payment must be done. Thank you.
Pay now, avoid paying later. A, B, C, D. That's how easy success is. Arise, be consistent and disciplined. Well, sunsets are beautiful. And when they come with closure. It is at this point that we are saying goodbye from Dedan Kimathi University of Technology, and we wrap up our financial literacy training. Thank you. We bow out.
Makofi, makofi, makofi. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm hoping we have all learned something. Unasikianga zile story, unasikianga sijui tuma dhao, uingishe watu wawili, upate 10,000. Si kila mtu amefanya hiyo kazi. Kuna Mgrobo mwenye amekalia KICC. I remember in university you find a lot of con people. They tell you that when you send 1,000 shillings and you bring another
how you
person,
budget it, how you put some money aside, a savings, emergency funds. You just know what you're going to do with your cash.
Money is the first word that comes to mind, of course.
So what I'd say financial education is, how do you get the money and what do you do with the money?
Talks about money, like talks on how to budget, how to invest and save, talks on pension planning and stuff like that.
I would say yes, I do have habits that I have put in place, structures that I've put in place to help me ensure that I have good financial health.
I started a food business that is currently doing very well. So I'd say, apart from spending money, I also just research ways to invest money.
Okay, I'm a graphic designer. So the money I get from my hustle, I use some of it to invest in the hustle, and then some of it I save, and then some of it I use for my upkeep.
There's so much that you can do with the little money that you got.
I save and I spend. Those are the two main things. I haven't gotten a chance to really invest.
Thank you.
Our guests for today, our dean and my fellow comrades, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Allow me first to say thank you to the Almighty for this wonderful event that we have had here today. And I know kila mtu angependa kuwa hapa, but ni sisi tulipewa uwezo wa kufika hapa leo, si ndio? We can at least say thank you to the Almighty for that. And next, I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you so much, our guest. It has been a wonderful session. Personally, for me, I've learned so much. And honestly, when it came a point, that is, I guess, Madam Clarice, who was clarifying on budgeting. I was so poor in budgeting, I guess, from today henceforth. Kuna vitu zitafanyika na mtaniona ni kuwa different juu ya budgeting nimefunzwa leo na investment na some banking, because I'm a finance student. I'm going to see more on that. Ladies and gentlemen, just prepare. I just want us to give our guest a very powerful appreciation by a hands of claps. Are we ready? We know how to do hearty claps. Do you know how to do hearty claps? Prepare for hearty claps. We are going to give them 5. 5 is a number of love. Kama huku unajua before you can go and do research. Prepare. Are we ready, ladies and gentlemen? This is for our guests. Are we ready? Ile ni 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Are we ready? Now prepare. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, thank you so much, our guests, for today. We are so humble and honored to have you here today. I know tumementionia big names, and one day hope tutasimama pia hapo as one of the big names, MD, CEO, sindio? Yes, secondly, I would love to appreciate the school. Kindly let's appreciate the school for organizing this event for us today. Yes, and above all, what tunasema people can plan events, but mnaweza kuja wenyewe kama organizers, but I want to take this opportunity. I want you to appreciate yourself for being here, sindio? Organizers wangekuwa hapo peke yao, but you chose to be here today and you learned, sindio? So much. So 4 hearty claps for yourself. Are we ready? Prepare and make sure this time kama ukupiga vizuri for guests ujipigie vizuri, siji unajipigia, so self love, si ndio? You come first, ndio? Aya, prepare. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you so much, director. My name is Richard Okasiba. Yes.
Thank you, Okasimba. At least I'm happy. I've had some learning has taken place, and moving forward, I'll be observing the behavior and perhaps listening to some of the complaints. Because I know most of you have some pocket money from the government, and that's why perhaps not everybody chose to come here, because it's easier to manage the money in your pocket than to listen. But I appreciate the fact that you all came, and the Old Mutual and Faulu team, We are very creative, and one thing I assure you is that these students have sat here attentively, and they will share this information with the rest, because we have clubs that are pondering issues of financial management. These students are also leaders in many aspects, from clubs, societies, even wherever they come from. And sometimes when you are a leader and do not have that financial discipline, you end up misleading the people who have elected you. So I believe what you have shared with us will go a long way. And perhaps this will be the future MDs, as you are saying, the future managers, and many other big people in the society. So this opportunity, you as a person to come and guide and mold a young person, is something that back to our MC. I believe the rest of the information is with him now that he's seated with Moses. Let's also appreciate Moses. Moses was the one organizing literally everything. We have been on this plan for the last 1 year with Margaret, and for it not for that consistency in communication, planning, this day would not have been a success. So Moses, I appreciate your effort. I know it's been difficult today to mobilize students, but we have done our best. So thank you so much. Boko, back to you. Thank you.
Asante sana Director. Makofi. I think our objectives have been met. Sini kweli? We are a bit wiser. We have something in our brains. Sini kweli? Yes. In terms of finance. Sawa. Najua unasomea engineering, but sasa si lazima ujue kumanage pesa yako. Sini kweli? And I'm happy that you are the people who listened and actually came for the event. Sini kweli? So when you go back there into your hostels, engage with the former students, not former, your students, your friends, tell them about what you learned here. Sini kweli? Endo mwambie mse, usitupe pesa yako kwa Ponzi scheme. Sawa. There is ni mutual money market. Sini kweli? Majina kubwa. I attended a finance class when we were about to choose what to study. Nikasikia terminology ziko huko za accounting and finance. Nikaenda marketing. Nikaona pole. Sasa hiyo akituambia mambo ya consumer engagement, market research, hiyo naweza ongea, but about finance I'm not there. But we are all a bit wiser when it comes to finance. Ni kweli? So as our guest,
how you budget it, how you put some money aside, a savings, emergency funds. You just know what you're going to do with your cash.
Money is the first word that comes to mind, of course. So what I'd say financial education is, how do you get the money and what do you do with the money?
Talks about money, like talks on how to budget, how to invest and save, talks on pension planning and stuff like that.
I would say yes, I do have habits that I have put in place, structures that I've put in place to help me ensure that I have good financial health.
I started a food business that is currently doing very well. So I'd say, apart from spending money, I also just research ways to invest money.
Okay, I'm a graphic designer. So the money I get from my hustle, I use some of it to invest in the hustle, and then some of it I save, and then some of it I use for my upkeep.
There's so much that you can do with the little money that you got.
I save and I spend. Those are the two main things. I haven't gotten a chance to really invest.
Work on just investing in my future.
I'll know better ways of actually making use of Old Mutual.
I can't say I'm the best when it comes to spending money.
And one mistake I see people doing is saying that they'll wait till they get good money so that they can start investing and they can start saving.
Every young person needs this. In the world we are moving to, you need to learn how to save, how to let your money work for you.
It was exciting to learn that I can actually narrow down to what I should have, what I must have, what I have that I don't really need to use. There are things that maybe end up wasting my money for no reason. So I think, yes, I've really learned a lot, which I look forward to apply.
For most of us young people, we tend to give up when we can't see the gain. But this is a long-term game. So how do you keep that momentum? How do you keep that mindset and start young and keep investing?
Yes, because investment is about risk, I think I'll be able to take this one. But now I have more knowledge and I'll be more cautious as I do savings and investing.
It was amazing because you got to engage, like I said, from both fronts and got to hear the perspective of students and the perspective of someone trying to, bring that kind of conversations to students. Yes.
Good money so that they can start investing and they can start saving.
Every young person needs this. In the world we are moving to, you need to learn how to save, how to let your money work for you.
It was exciting to learn that I can actually narrow down to what I should have, what I must have, what I have that I don't really need to use. There are things that maybe end up wasting my money for no reason. So I think, yes, I've really learned a lot, which I look forward to apply.
For most of us young people, we tend to give up when we can't see the gain. But this is a long-term game. So how do you keep that momentum? How do you keep that mindset and start young and keep investing?
Yes, because investment is about risk, I think I'll be able to take this one. But now I have more knowledge and I'll be more cautious as I do savings and investing.
It was amazing because you got to engage, like I said, from both fronts and got to hear the perspective of students and the perspective of someone trying to, bring that kind of conversations to students. Yes.